Hey, happy Thursday. Today we are back in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12 through 15. I'm going to be reading out of the Amplified version because it expands on some of the text here so that we can better understand what James is saying here to the church. Verse 12, blessed, meaning happy, spiritually prosperous, favored by God, is the man who is steadfast under trial and perseveres when tempted. For when he has passed the test and been approved, he will receive the victor's crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God. For temptation does not originate from God, but from our own flaws. For God cannot be tempted by what is evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each one is tempted when he is dragged away, enticed and baited to commit sin by his own worldly desire, which are lusts and passions. Then the illicit desire has conceived and gives birth to sin. And when sin has run its course, it gives birth to death. The end result of sin, we know, is death, which is why God so sternly opposes sin. And sin is everything that we try and put in place of God. That's why it talks about our lusts and our passions. We should be lusting after God. We should be passionate about God. And instead, a lot of us are more passionate about our favorite sports team. We're more passionate about our career than spreading the gospel. We're more passionate about what's on TV instead of the sermon that we just heard at church and how that can transform not only our life, but the people that can be exposed to such truth. We have our desires tangled up in the world. And so when we're reading this here, the warning from James is pretty clear that our desires that come from a worldly place are what lead us to sin. And so the desires themselves aren't inherently sinful. So we can have goals and aspirations that are related to the world, but the intention behind that desire matters. If the intention is not to glorify God through the work we do in the world, then that's what leads to sinful temptations. We see in 1 John chapter 2, it says, do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in them. For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, these are the three things that we as human beings struggle with in the different buckets of sin, comes not from the Father, but from the world. The world and its desires pass away, but whoever does the will of God lives forever. When we talk about some of these things, reflect for yourself. The lusts of the flesh. So what are some of the desires that we have around indulgence? This might be pleasure or comfort. This could be entertainment. This could be drinking alcohol, smoking weed. There are so many different pleasures that we seek as humans for our own ability to cope with stress. The lust of the eyes. So this is covetousness. This is things that we desire, status, achievement, personal affirmation from other people or approval that we can see with our eyes that we want and desire, that we want to go get ourselves, for ourselves. It's not to glorify God. And then the pride of life. And so this can kind of overlap where we're talking about status, accolades, achievement, things that make us feel self-sufficient as if we do not need a God or Savior. And so wrapping a bow around this, when the illicit desire has conceived and it gives birth to sin, and when sin has run its course, it gives birth to death. James is warning us of the trappings of this world and having our desires go unchecked, our motives go unchecked. And so I think the bigger message in verses 12 through 15 here is to check yourself on where you derive your desires from. Are your desires derived from God? Meaning, has God given you these desires based on what he's called you to do in the context of your own life? Or are you pursuing your own desires for the sake of your own personal lusts and your own personal pride? And so if we can check ourselves in these areas and how we are going about glorifying the Lord? Are our motives actually to glorify God? That becomes the question. When we're doing our work, are we actually trying to glorify God in the work that we do? Are we actually trying to glorify God with the way that we treat our bodies, the food or substances we put into our body? Is the end intention to glorify God? And if it's not, these are things that we want to search our own hearts and ask God for a fresh set of desires in these areas so that we can better glorify Him. Because if we are not doing that, we know that that is the gateway to sin, and sin leads to death and destruction. And so that's the message for today, you guys. And so I hope you got something from today, and I will see you back here as we continue to go through the first chapter of the book of James.